the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Great guests on the program this afternoon, including Pat Forty, Sports Illustrated. He's going to go scorched earth on college football in 30 minutes. David Sampson, Dynamite Podcast, former executive with the Miami Marlins, turned that organization around. He was there for almost 2 decades. He's coming up in an hour. And Quentin Mills today on the program, College Baseball Insiders, as the tournament started today. And we have at least one massive favorite going down already. Details on that coming up. We're going to get into the Stanley Cup final price that we have, Conn Smythe numbers, huge day today in Major League Baseball, some weather to pay attention to, Paulie, and the Knicks lived to see another day last night. And, you know, all this talk about we're not going to have a playoff game at all in either sport over the weekend, rubbish. The other one is, come on, we're not going to get another game on TNT ever. They were going to go down in 5 games, and that was going to be it. We're going to kiss them goodbye. And then they were going to move that outstanding show to ESPN. And then chances are it's never going to be the same ever again.
And who's going with them? Yeah, and that'll be an emotional send-off. They brought it. They were awesome. Brunson was phenomenal. Also what he did defensively. And Indiana brought nothing. And they played like Bovey said yesterday. They had a game in their back pocket, which I didn't expect because the same scenario presented itself against Cleveland, and they won that game and took them out in 5, no problem. To have Sloppy Joe again, 20 turnovers, and the first time they were held under 100 points. But it goes back to what Barkley said when he was so bothered by Jalen Green and others. But you can't have 35 and then 8. You can't have 31 and then 7, right? So I don't expect Halliburton to come back after that all-time performance and do it again. But to give me 8 points and only attempt 7 shots, and then the others didn't do anything either. Neesmith, Nebhard, Turner, 14 points, 8 turnovers. That'll do it. Great job by the Knicks. Great performance. And now I would say it's squeaky bum time for the Pacers because it's happened 13 times, more than I thought. But 13 times the teams come back down 3-1. And now you're in this spot where you're expected to win and close them out. And if you go back to the Garden Monday, it'll be a madhouse. And I know you won last time, but they were injured and you shot 67% for the game.
Right, and now how about this now? The point spread after last night, and by the way, that was a beatdown. The Knicks were clearly the better team in that game last night. And now the Pacers are laying 4 in Game 6 tomorrow night, which is the biggest number that they've been against the Knicks in this series. And it was much lower than that earlier on in the series. And now it's bumped up to 4 as the market is expecting this team to have a great bounce back at home here and to then finish off the series. I don't know. I'll ask you this.
Yep.
You have the Pacers 19-1. You hedge on the Knicks. Let's take those bets and wipe them off the board for a second.
Okay.
What would you, going in fresh right now, what number would you need to bet the Knicks to win the series? I have a number in my head. I'd snap it up immediately, and I'll tell you what it is.
Plus 330.
Plus 330.
Guys, I think the Pacers win Saturday.
Okay,
I think they'll bounce back, and that's been the way of the NBA.
Yeah, I would take $3 in a
Good
heartbeat
enough?
right
Yeah.
now.
Well, and if you want to do that right now, you can. If you want to hedge, so many people in the audience have the Pacers futures, so you're going to be an underdog in Game 7. But if you want to take the almost 3-1, you can do that and lock in a profit. Maybe you already did that before the game yesterday, which that's a good feeling too. So I don't know if you did that, congrats. But I think they'll bounce back and win. But certainly that was. You know, Brunson's got to be sick and tired about this, too. He's been getting called out, rightfully so, how bad he was defensively. So he's been great offensively. Towns was not limited. He was great. That surprised me. Oh, he was a beast. And Indiana was awful, but give a ton of credit to the Knicks. They played like season was on the line and they had to have it, and Indiana played like they had a couple games that they could throw away, and that's what they did.
How about Mathurin again last night?
How about that?
Good luck figuring out some of these guys,
man. That was 20-1, by the way.
To score 20-plus points?
He was 20-1.
You got to be bleeping kidding me.
Yeah.
That was 8-1 to begin the series in Game 1.
Wow.
Oh, man.
I know.
That just makes me sick.
You just can't.
Good for him, but I mean.
Yeah, it's hard to get a read on the others.
Oh, absolutely it is.
With Minnesota and with Indiana and what's going to happen.
So, yeah, I can't find 3-1. It's not out there. I think it was plus 295 last night was the best number. And the absolute best number I think I can find anywhere right now is plus 290. If you do see 3-1, you can always let us know. X is the best way to get us live during the show anyway, at VSiN Live at Mitch Moss Radio at Paulie Howard. Let me throw another one at you based on what you just said. And Brunson was fantastic last night, as was Towns. Have you looked at the updated odds to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP?
Oh, I have this in real or Fugazi. Let's go. Okay, well, yes. It's asinine. It's asinine.
I'm blown away at the number.
Brunson cannot be this number based on the fact that he's scoring, okay, but they are hunting him every time down on defense. And the two best quarters they had played prior to last night in the series, he was on the bench. This is lunacy.
I mean,
absolute lunacy is the second choice.
If the Knicks come back to win this series, based on how the players have played to this point, and if it continues, there is only one guy who can win it, and it's Karl Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only player.
Yeah.
He was fantastic again, and he was the single reason why they were not dead and buried in the series 3-0.
Saved their season.
Absolutely, he did.
It was over. Done. Brunson on the bench. Down big. Cat takes over. Now we got a series. How about the numbers they showed on the pregame? Brown against Neesmith. On the floor in the series, Brunson, when they're on there, minus 43, shooting 40% and 4 of 21 from 3.
Wow.
It's ridiculous what they showed that. So great job last night. But coming into last night, it goes back to, what the executives and scouts were saying about great scorer, good player, good story, but can you win with the guy?
Isn't it funny, by the way, you can tie in, both this series and also the Western Conference Finals about how home court does matter and how it can be so big. I mean, game 1, the Knicks absolutely blew. Totally gave that game away.
Yeah.
Pacers were the better team in game 2, I get that. Game 3, Pacers led for a majority of that game. Knicks came back to get the win. Game 4, they ran them out. They were the better team. And then last night, going back to the Garden, and we documented yesterday the numbers on Oklahoma City at home. It's just teams have no chance when they're at home. Yet when they go on the road and play Minnesota in Game 3, they lost by 40. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of with you. I expect a Pacers bounce back in this game, and the others will play much better than last night. But now the point spread's 4. And maybe, you know what, maybe it should have been, we said this, by the way, going in real time, this is probably where the number should have been in games 3 and 4 anyway, and it never was.
Yep. Also going in to last night, Game 1, Knicks starters outscored by 16, minus 13 in Game 2 and minus 8 in Game 4.
Yeah.
So that's why another reason I thought they'd close them out, but that's good. We got some drama Saturday night, and that's great, knowing what's on the line Monday night then. And then for the Pacers to finally get back there, and the Knicks, who haven't been there since '99, and imagine we come in Monday and it's a Game 7 to talk about.
Right.
Juicy.
I would not like the Pacers' chances to go back to Garden and win that game.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to, if we get that scenario. For what it's worth, the current series price right now at plus 290 is a better number than you can get if you do a rollover parlay on the Knicks money line. That's 280 or plus 285.
Okay.
So if you're playing that game right now, if you can find plus 290, that series price is a little bit better. And the Stanley Cup final is set as well. I'm excited. I'm stoked.
Gotta be.
And just from a rooting aspect, as we've said many times, I hope they take it down, meaning Edmonton. I want to see a great player or great players like McDavid and Draisaitl finally get over the hump and win a belt, or win a title, I should say. That would be phenomenal. Get the rematch from last year. When they were down 3-0, they came roaring back. We talked about this yesterday as well. McDavid won the Conn Smythe, even though the team lost the series overall, which has happened in the past, but it's not exactly like it's commonplace. And now he is plus 120 to win the Conn Smythe after last night. He was awesome.
Yep.
He has 26 points in the playoffs, number 1 overall. Draisaitl, I saw him today at 10-1 at one spot. He has 25 points, second most in all of the playoffs.
Dead or not dead, though. The third one was a softie. You would have had that. But other than that, he's solid, and I can't kill him for what happened. And again, another blowout. This doesn't make any sense.
It does not.
Another blowout, and if you play both teams on the puck line, you cash again. 10 of the last 11 games decided by 3 goals or more. 11 games in a row decided by 2+ goals, and 20 of the last 22. Every loss by Dallas in the playoffs this year was by 3+ goals. And DeBoer goes out in the conference finals for the 6th time in the last 8 years, and I know from experience, you do not just blame the goalie because you give up a goal. And for him to do that, either DeBoer's not coming back or Ottinger's not coming back. That's ridiculous. And his explanation was absurd. You pull a guy, Ferraro was stunned. You pull a guy 7 minutes into a game,
2
win
shots,
or go home,
2 goals.
Yeah, and one was a breakaway. And then you bring in DeSmith, who hadn't played since late April. So Jonathan Davis couldn't believe it, and he texted me, he goes, well, I think he's going to bring him back out for the second period. And then just to say, well, it's a big 7 games is a big sample size. Okay, but what's all this you stuff? It's a team. It's not just him. The defense stunk.
Of course. Let's hear from DeBoer last night. Here was his explanation after the loss.
And obviously we were in a 2-0 hole right away. And you know what? I didn't take that lightly, and I didn't blame it all on Jake. But you know, the reality is if you go back to last year's playoffs, you know, he's lost 6 to 7 games to Edmonton, and we gave up 2 shots on 2 goals in an elimination game. So, you know, it was partly to spark our team and wake them up, and partly, you know, knowing that, you know, status quo had not been working, you know, and it's a pretty big sample size.
He has to know he's gone.
That's it.
He has to be gone.
Yeah, that's so bad. That's so bad. That's unheard of. 7 minutes in.
Yeah.
You're in the conference finals. What? And you're going to put it all him? The first one's a breakaway. I couldn't believe it.
That's a pretty big sample size at the end.
Oh.
He's looking right at the reporter. You know, he's lost 6 of 7 to the same team in the playoffs. Like, yeah, it's obvious. He's got to get yanked.
Right.
It was amazing that he said that.
No teammates, though. The defense can't fault those guys.
Yep. Baseball coming up next, including a rematch of last year's World Series. Yankees taking on the Dodgers. This has happened to the Dodgers more times than you think this year. I'll explain what it is next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Good to have you on board here on a Friday. We're live downtown Las Vegas. Circa Resort Casino is the spot. We head out here to the Progressive guest line as Pat Forty, kind enough to join us here on a Friday afternoon, does a great job covering college basketball and college football for Sports Illustrated. Pat, good afternoon. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Doing well, guys. How about you all?
Doing well. You had a great write-up the other day on the ever-changing landscape that we're looking at right now in front of us with college football. I guess the first thing here that we can begin with is, like, who really wants this, what they're doing, other than people who are going to benefit from a money standpoint?
Virtually nobody, I think. You know, this is purely a way for the powers that be to dredge some more money out of the playoff and to try to further their advantage if you're in a position to get an advantage, i.e. the Big Ten and the SEC. I don't think there's this great clamoring really even to go to 16 teams. Some people maybe like it, some may be curious about it, but I think we just got to 12. Mm-hmm. People just got the hang of the format, and now we're going to change that up again, and it's not even going to – assuming we get to 16, I think we will. It's not even going to be a straight 16 format. You know, there's going to be double buys involved, and there's a lot of work that's being done to complicate and aggravate, but not necessarily improve college football.
Is someone going to stand up, and will that be the ACC and or Big 12, and say, what about what's best for the sport?
Tell you what, no, it's a good question, because I do think the pushback this week has been pretty considerable. And I do think it's probably coming from the ACC and the Big 12 and Notre Dame and others that, you know, that this power play to get 4 automatic bids apiece for the Big 10 and the SEC, while, you know, technically I think they have the authority to push it through, there's a lot of people that are pushing back against it. And I think that they're realizing to a degree how unpopular this really might be. Uh-huh. And, you know, that I think it maybe comes down to, do you want to be the people that have just been widely vilified for screwing up college sports, or do you want to try to find out a little bit better way to do this? And so I think five automatic bids plus 11 at large is gaining momentum as we go along.
Okay. What's the worst idea you've heard? Is it 4 automatic bids for the Big Ten and SEC just every year, no questions asked? Or is it this this play-in game stuff where, like you wrote about, my God, there was a scenario where Iowa could have got in.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a combination of the two. I hate the idea of 4 automatic bids for anyone. I say earn it on the field. Let's see, maybe you earn 6 for your league, but don't automatically guarantee yourselves 4. That's not the way any other championship works in college sports. Secondly, though, the play-in, they want to be part of this. And that's where, yes, you get the number 6 Big Ten team playing the number 3 Big Ten team for a playoff bid. And nobody wanted to see that Iowa team in the college football playoff. And under that premise, if it's a 16-team tournament, they would have had a chance to play their way in. Illinois would have had a chance to play their way in. In the SEC, you would have had to figure out tiebreakers for a 6-way tie for 4th, and then also 5th and 6th. It's just those are not teams that people want to see play for a national championship. It would also extend the playoff even further, and I think people got a little bit of playoff fatigue last year when it's ending on January 20th or whatever, and this next year is going to be a week later than that. So there's plenty I don't like about it, but the automatic bids and the play-ins combined are I really don't like.
Do you think they would keep the conference title games then, like for the permanently, or like short term potentially, but long term, is that going to be a thing that we're still going to be kicking around?
I think there's a chance we can get rid of the conference championship games, which I would be fine with.
Okay.
I think that those are not necessarily etched in stone. Now, what they come up with instead of those might be worse, but for now, it's not like I would sit here and, cry a bunch of tears if we don't have conference championships going forward. When that might be, 2026 at the earliest, but it might be even later than that as they're kind of wrestling their way through this. But championship weekend is very much up for grabs. Who's playing, who's not playing, what's at stake.
I've never seen you so animated as when you're on your podcast with Wetzel and you guys were discussing this about they might do this, they might do that. And then you just went on this great rant where if you're the best conference, go out, prove it, show it. You haven't won it the last 2 years. I don't understand. You got 7 teams in last year. And then that's not good enough? As you said, you get every single advantage, and that's still not good enough for the SEC.
Yeah, no, that's the gross thing about this is there is seemingly no shame and no end to the gluttony of we have to have more, we deserve more. And that's the thing where the SEC, especially, this offseason here, this week, they've been – thumping the tub about strength of schedule. Well, here's what their record is the last 2 college football playoffs. It's 1-4. They got 3 teams in this last year. They all lost by the semifinals. They had nobody in the championship. And the year before, they had nobody in the championship. Mm-hmm. Well, yes, you want to go back over 10 years, 20 years? Undoubtedly, best conference. But as of right now, not trending that way. And so, to keep beating everyone over the head about how you're so much better than everyone else, again, let's go prove it on the field.
Yeah, and how about this? How about they play 9 conference games and they cut out scheduling Western Kentucky on November 18th when they're favored by 47 points in that game?
Yeah, I know. Everybody hates those late November non-conference patty cake games, and that would certainly be a spot to play a 9th conference game. And there are people in the conference that do want to play 9. Good. But there are also people in the bottom half of the conference that are like, that's just another loss for us. If you're Kentucky, Mississippi State, whoever, Vanderbilt, you don't want to play that 9th game. But guess what? Go do it anyway.
Well, this all feels very rushed, obviously, and we're talking to Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated here on Follow the Money as VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. How much of that is based on Alabama getting left out of the playoff last year?
Oh, I think that's very much a driving force is, the fact that Indiana and SMU got in and St. Louis, Alabama did not. And here's the problem with that. And also the party line that strength of schedule was ignored. No, the only reason Alabama was even in the discussion was strength of schedule. And what kept them out was not some sort of SEC bias or fatigue or whatever. It was losing by 3 touchdowns to a 6-6 Oklahoma team and losing to Vanderbilt in a game in which they never led. I mean, their losses were bad. Yeah, they had a couple of good wins, but you can't ignore how bad they were against Oklahoma late in the season with everything on the line, and then just come back and say, well, they didn't pay attention to strength of schedule. No, people watched Alabama play and thought they weren't that good.
Yes, well done, well said. It won't end there. Also, college hoops. What changes do you expect to the March Madness tournament?
Yeah, they're greasing the skids to go to 76 in March Madness, which I also think would be terrible. And I do have a suspicion that that's become a little more of a talking point this week to take attention away from the football. This is a good time to bring up another unpopular idea because people are so worked up about football, and you can maybe slide this one in there. But I am by no means in favor of messing with what's been a perfect tournament. I already didn't like going 64 to 68, but we did that. Go to 76. All you're doing is letting in more mediocre teams, and they're not going to be the Cinderellas, and you're probably going to try to marginalize them more, the teams that really give the tournament some flavor. And one of the real flaws here in the talking points is, well, we're up to 360 teams now in Division I, and, so shouldn't we add more to the tournament? No, because out of the 360 teams, most of them are all playing in single bid leagues. They're not taking bids away from everyone else. The top part of the bracket, the teams that have a chance to win at large bids are the same ones. It's not like adding Merrimack means Nebraska can't get in that large bid. I mean, stop with that garbage.
Yeah. Oh, that was dynamite. Love talking to you, Pat. Thanks so much for the time. Enjoy the weekend, okay?
All right, my pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, follow him on X. He is at ByPad40 with Sports Illustrated.
Yep.
I've been a fan of his work from the first day that I ever saw him, covering college sports for ESPN.
Good rant at the end, and also his articles were awesome today. All week, at Sports Illustrated. They were phenomenal.
We're taking this show on the road, by the way. Next month, only a couple of weeks from right now, for the College World Series, June 12th through the 14th. Special editions here, Follow the Money and Money Moves, live from Rocco's, right across from the stadium in Omaha. We'll see you there for those of you traveling to the College World Series. Up next, win some, lose some, make it 11 straight games and 20 out of 22.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board here on a Friday. It's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard, live downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Great guest to begin this hour as we head out to the Progressive Guest Line. He is the former president of the Miami Marlins and host of the Nothing Personal podcast with David Sampson. Good afternoon, David. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
My pleasure. How are you doing?
Doing really well. I'll begin with a straight-up baseball question for this year and how bad it's trending for the Colorado Rockies. Their updated win total from a betting standpoint is 39.5 wins in the regular season. Do you see this team getting to 40 wins on the year?
So 40 wins would get you, under my great college-level math, 122 losses, which would be one more loss than the Chicago White Sox suffered last year, which would set the record. But they're currently on pace, I believe, to lose 269 games. So they'd have to play so much better to win 40 games. I don't think it's possible.
They're 9-47. They have to come up with 31 more wins, Paulie.
Yeah, I know.
I think David's right.
Yeah.
All-time embarrassment here.
Listen, do you know how hard it is to lose that many games? Think about if there were a team right now, 44-9. Think about it the other way. We'd be saying this is the greatest team in the history of team sports. It's not happened. The most is 116 with the Mariners way back in the 90s. But let me tell you, it's as hard to lose this much as it is to win this much.
Yes.
Yeah, well said.
Yes. So The attendance isn't terrible, which is surprising. But I know you went through this in Miami, but not to this extent. But how difficult is it to sell a 3 or 4 year rebuild?
Well, it's funny. The Rockies, have like the 20th highest payroll. It's not that they don't spend money; they just don't spend it right.
Okay.
And so you can't legislate against incompetence. But Coors Field happens to be an amazing place to watch a game. And God bless those guys in Denver. They go to games and they have fun. They stop at the cannabis stores on the way, and they enjoy a baseball game. I mean, it's not the end of the world. But it's a beautiful place to play, and they're drawing people. There's no question about that. Are you asking, will there come a time when Coors Field will look like Marlins Park? And I'm saying that because I'm self-deprecating. But no, I think that Coors Field is a place where you will always draw fans. But the owners aren't trying to lose. It's not like they've got a payroll like the Marlins or the Pirates. They've got a real payroll. They just have terrible players.
You said this week, and it had a lot of traction to it, that basically a lockout is going to happen in, 2027? Why are you so strong on that, David?
Well, because the collective bargaining agreement runs out at the end of 2026, and I do not see an avenue right now for there to be an agreement before this current agreement ends. I don't see an extension coming. I don't see the owners getting together with players to do something early. And strategically speaking, once a collective bargaining agreement runs out, the owners will lock out the players like they did just a couple years ago. So to me, it's a guarantee there'll be a lockout. The question is how long, and I think this one could be longer than the one of a few years ago.
No way. Oh my God. Oh.
Well, listen, there's a lot of economic issues. If you think about, forget team performance. Just look at the disparity in payrolls between, just say, the Dodgers and the Marlins, and you realize that you have to do something to tighten the belts between the highest and lowest payroll, the way teams do when there's a salary cap and salary floor. If you look at the NFL, by the way, and the NBA and the NHL, there's not as big a difference between the lowest payroll and the highest payroll the way there is in baseball.
I, for one, believe the Dodgers are good for baseball, though, right? What's bad for baseball are the teams that you talked about, the Pirates and the Marlins. Would you agree with that?
Well, listen, though, no, and here's why. Because every year you're going to have bad teams, so that's not the end of the world. If you look at last year's playoffs, there were a bunch of low payroll teams that made the playoffs. And so really what you're saying is what's not good for baseball are teams that stink. And the truth is that every year there's bad teams. Sometimes teams with high payrolls don't do well. Sometimes teams with low payrolls do very well. So every year, if you think about this stat, every year the league's going to be 500. Every year.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of how it gets allocated. And once in a while you get outliers like the Rockies are this year. But we thought the Dodgers would win 194 games before the season started. And then they won the first 2 in Japan. And everyone said, oh, my God, they're definitely going undefeated. They may not even win 100 games this year.
Well, here's the sad part to me is that, again, I'll bring up the Pirates. Already, right, David, rumors out there. Paul Skeens, when is he going to ask out of Pittsburgh? I would put a lot of money on him not finishing his career in Pittsburgh and more than likely not signing like a second contract with that team.
Well, there are very few players, again, and I just want to push back for a second. How many players play with one team their whole career?
Not a lot.
Very, very
not a lot,
few.
but his career might be over in Pittsburgh before you know it, like very soon.
Well, it happens. I mean, listen, there's very few teams who can re-sign a pitcher because it's not smart. When you sign a long-term deal, the odds are you're going to get it wrong with a pitcher. And so getting Paul Skeens to sign away his free agent years is likely not going to happen. And you have to look at what percentage of payroll your players are, because look at the LA Angels. They had Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, 2 of the top 5 players in baseball. They couldn't win a playoff game. Not one. They couldn't play a playoff game, forget win one. And so it's not like basketball where you can put together, a big 3 and win games or guarantee playing in the playoffs. Baseball, you need a team. And if Paul Skeens is on a bad team, they're not going to win. You're going to be happy every 5 days, but you're not going to play in October. So if you can move out Paul Skeens and get 4 or 5 players, let's look at a deal right now. Look at what the Nationals did with Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Traded him to San Diego, and my God, did they get three pieces that are better than having just one Juan Soto. They did great, and the Nationals are going to now get an open window of being competitive and maybe even playing in October over the next 2 to 3 years, and that's how you're supposed to run a team.
One of my favorite guests, David Sampson, great podcast, former executive in MLB and CBS Sports as well. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. Who wins the Stanley Cup?
So I'm all for dynasties. I want Connor McDavid to have a cup because that's cool. However, if the Panthers win, and I was in Miami running the Marlins when LeBron won 2 titles and went to the finals 4 straight years, and that's the only dynasty I saw in Florida because they're hard to come by. But think about this. If the Panthers win the cup, second in a row, been in the Stanley Cup 3 straight years, I think you got to start calling that a dynasty, the beginning of a dynasty, if not the middle of one. So I'm sort of rooting for the dynasty to happen, and I love their team. And I guess I'm going to say I'm rooting for the Panthers, but I won't be despondent if Connor McDavid gets a Stanley Cup.
Well said. Okay. How do the locals take to hockey and the Panthers?
Well, it's when I lived in Miami, the Panthers were nothing. We nicknamed that a hash mark because no one watched them. You had to pay people to go to games. You had to pay companies to sponsor them. And then Vinny Viola bought the team, brought in Matthew Caldwell as the president of the team, started making better personnel decisions, and now they are the toast of the town. Now, you're comparing it to the Dolphins who stink, the Marlins who stink, and the Heat who put the M in mediocre. So this is a great opportunity for the Panthers to do what they're doing, but it's working out there in Sunrise in the swamps of the Everglades. They're selling out. People are excited about it, and they're no longer nicknamed the hash mark.
Awesome. What's the best show on TV, in your opinion?
I just watched the finale of a show called Your Friends and Neighbors.
Yes.
Season 1. It's on Apple TV+. It just finished its first season with John Hamm, and I got to tell you, it's so good because just when you think you're living in the quiet suburbs of Henderson, all of a sudden you realize there's a bunch of crazies around you, some of whom may have guns, some of whom may be stealing stuff, some of whom are likely having sex with other people. All of this is going on as they're at the country club playing 18 on a random Wednesday, and I'm here for it.
That's it. That's the show. There you go.
Have you watched Mission Impossible yet?
No, so I will. I don't love going to theaters anymore. Isn't that sad?
Oh.
I wait for movies to stream, but I do need to see Mission Impossible on the big screen. I will, and I love the fact that Tom Cruise, as a Scientologist, somehow is aging backwards like Benjamin Button.
No kidding.
Because I don't know that a 60-year-old should be doing the stunts he does. But guess what? I'm going to be 60 in 3 years. I'm in. I love Tom Cruise. He's a true movie star and an action star. And apparently he left on a very high note, this franchise of Mission Impossible. And you got to tip your cap, not to the craziness of what he believes in and sort of the craziness of Scientology, but as an actor and action star, my God, has he done it.
David, about a minute left here. I've been told to watch Dune 1 and 2. I've never seen it. I'm not a big Star Wars guy. I guess that Chalamet is outstanding in it. Of course, he was at the Knicks game again last night with, Jenner. Is it that good? Dune 1 and 2 are that outstanding you have to watch?
Listen, here's the bottom line. You won't know what the heck's going on. I'm a pretty smart guy. I didn't understand one thing in those 2 movies. I watched them both. I watched 1 and then years later watched 2. Then I watched 1 again because I thought I was a moron. I couldn't understand it, didn't follow the story. Now, everyone looked good. It seems pretty cool. But to this day, I will tell you, I have no idea what the plot was, but it was fun to look at.
Okay, that's fair enough. There you go. Catch the podcast called Nothing Personal with David Sampson, of course, former president with the Miami Marlins as well. Thank you, sir. Love talking to you. We appreciate that. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too. Take care. Bye-bye.
There you go. He was on the Progressive Guest Line.
There's a great explanation on Your Friends and Neighbors. I mean, you are hooked immediately at that show.
All right. We are going in fresh to American League Awards with Blind Resume and the teams we're betting for most wins in May. Next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, full boat today, Major League Baseball. One game in the books as the Reds, no problems at all, going to Wrigley and defeating the Cubs today. Final score there was 6-2. And right now they did bump up this game because of weather in the Baltimore area. Top of the fourth, White Sox and the Orioles, no score between these two clubs. And then a little bit later on, you have the Brewers and the Phillies. And then the full slate begins tonight. Did you end up betting any team to win the most amount of games in the month of June?
I did not.
You did not?
Nope. I don't mind the Tigers. Depends what price you got.
Well, guess what they're down to right now?
Now, how big?
At last check, Tigers at Caesars plus 350.
Oh, my God. And they opened 16?
The first number I saw was 16-1.
Are you aware that the Orioles are on pace to lose 106 games?
I knew it was over 100, but I didn't. Technically, that number's 106, huh?
Yeah.
They won 101 2 years ago. They were the 1 seed.
They were a game and a half up on the White Sox. That's how bad it's been. I mean, who saw this coming?
And by the way,
Just ridiculous.
Now are they trending like, is this going to be who they turn back into? Was that their small window the last 2 years? Because they still have all that young talent, but do you know what they're going to have to do with the pitching staff? I mean, it's just, how do you...
Yeah.
They're going to have to put together a brand new staff like beginning next year.
Yeah.
So here's what I did. I pondered a bunch of teams for most wins. Tigers certainly was one of them, but I waffled and I waited until I saw the number at Circa to pop, and it was 5-1 on the opener. I'm like, well, that's a little bit too late now to bet it because it moved in at Caesars as well. They only play 26 games, but they have a great path. I also looked at the Giants. The Cardinals, I think, have a decent path, and they play 28 games. Tigers only play 26, so watch out for that. I looked at the Cubbies. The Dodgers are 8-1. They play 27 games, 15 at home. But it does start off tough. They get the Yankees, of course, this weekend. That trickles into June. They get the Mets, 3 at St. Louis, 3 at San Diego, 3 at the Giants, 4 then against San Diego. And then they close out with a nice path of the Nationals, Rockies, and the Royals. But I looked at when those pitchers are going to be coming back. It's not this month, or not like to begin the month anyway, so I couldn't pull the trigger on the Dodgers 8-1. I went a little boring with the New York Yankees at plus 550.
Don't hate it. It's pitching's no joke.
27 games in the month of June, 16 at home. Again, they get the Red Sox 6 times. You explain the Red Sox to me. They get the Angels for 4.
Well, 6 and 15 in one-run games. That's a big one.
Yeah, think about this. The Angels for 4. Trout's back today, but who knows? He might be gone and out of the lineup again by the time they play the Yankees. They get the Orioles. They get the Reds. Okay. And they get the A's. Amongst the teams that they're playing, A's have turned into the bottom feeders of the league along with the Rockies on this current stretch.
Yep.
So I had to do it. I also overthought it. I'm pissed at myself for missing the best numbers, and I thought, you know what? The path really exists for the Yankees to have a great June, so I went plus 550 on the Yankees.
Okay. And someone told you to high on Dune.
Oh, I had multiple people.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And last night, by the way, in fact, because the game was on and he's sitting there courtside with Jenner, and they're like, you've never seen Dune 1, 2? I'm like, I know nothing about them.
Looks good. Not a ringing endorsement from Samson.
Not at all, I would say.
It kind of reminds me of Inception with how he's like, remember Mike Baum walked out. I was lost. I didn't know. I gave up, he said.
That's what.
But I loved Inception, but I don't know.
Wait, so you've never seen Dune 1 or 2?
No.
Oh, okay.
I haven't either.
All right. I figured so I'm not a Star Wars guy.
Why is the Star Wars connection?
I thought it was isn't it a Star Wars like thing? I thought it was a Star Wars thing, a knockoff of Star Wars or something. I have no idea. That's what I was told.
I thought they fought in the desert or something.
That
doesn't look like? Okay.
So, whatever. It's all beyond me.
That's also, I don't know. I can't name 3 things that kid's in anyway.
I don't think I've ever...
Dune, Bob Dylan, and that's it?
Yeah, I've never seen him in anything.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, until now, I know he did College Game Day last year, and he was awesome on that. Until now, like this whole Knicks thing, he could have walked into Circa, sat down, and waved at us. I would have been like, who's this guy?
Yeah. All these white kids look alike. I mean, he looks like that Eddie guy. That Eddie, whatever his name is, the other actor. I don't know.
Okay. Let's do a little blind resume here for American League Cy Young. Paulie and I are both going to go in fresh here to see if we can find a bet on a guy in this market. Okay, pitcher number 1, 4 wins, 2 losses. The ERA is 2.42, over 63 innings.
Yeah.
62 Ks. The whip is sub 1. 8.8 Ks per 9, and a 156 ERA plus. I am not up to date. I don't have these numbers memorized at all. I don't know who it is. Do you?
Is it Hunter Brown? Unveil. Oh, it's DeGrom.
DeGrom, 12-1.
Oh.
Those are good numbers.
Yeah.
I'm a little leery about betting Jacob DeGrom just because of, the biggest question mark possible. Is he going to stay healthy for the full year?
Uh-huh.
And I clearly love the guy. He's absolutely phenomenal, but is 12-1 worth a bet based on his current numbers, what you would project him for, and if he stays healthy for a full year?
Well, then looking at the ESPN article, no way. He's not even listed.
He's not?
No.
Oh.
They said, who are your MVPs and Cy Young Award winners? And he's not even on there. Not giving him any credit.
Okay.
That's a bit of a surprise.
Let's go pitcher number 2. 4-4 with the record. 2.04 with the ERA. Phenomenal. 79 innings pitched. 89 Ks. 1.06 with the whip. 10.7 Ks per 9. And a 2.02 ERA plus. I feel like I should know who that is with a 2.04 ERA and that many strikeouts. And I'm blanking on it. Is that Hunter Brown, actually, Paulie?
Unveil. Oh, it's Crochet.
Crochet. Looked like a righty with the silhouette.
Yeah. I couldn't tell with the silhouette either. Yep.
Oh, those are outstanding numbers.
Yep.
He's got a 2.04 ERA. Didn't realize it was that low.
Oh, yeah, he's on that stretch. Was like 2 or fewer allowed.
5-1?
Yep.
Here on May 30th?
Not bad. The ESPN has him number 5.
Okay.
Number 5.
Let's continue before I make up my mind on Garrett Crochet here. I'm punting on DeGrom for now. All right, pitcher number 3. 5-2, 1.45 with the ERA. 70 Ks. I was going to say this is Skubal, but it can't be because it's only 70 strikeouts. 1.01 whip, 2.82 ERA plus, 9.2 Ks per 9. Is that who he's taking on tomorrow? Is that Bubic?
Oh,
it is.
And look at that right now. That's ESPN's Cy Young guy.
Okay, so I bet him this morning at 40-1.
There you go.
Look at those numbers.
His emergence hasn't exactly come out of nowhere, but he has validated anyone who pegged him as a breakout player. He shaped and reshaped his arsenal during his career, interrupted by elbow surgery and rehab. Aggressive in the zone, succeeded doing that with that top-shelf velocity. He probably won't finish with a 1.45, but still, he's the top of the leaderboard with what he's doing, ESPN.com.
Oh, those are phenomenal numbers. What's fair to say about tomorrow? He can't win the Cy Young against Skubal. Can he lose it? Because what if Skubal goes 7 strong, 1 run, 10 Ks, and this guy gives up 6 earned?
Yeah.
Is that going to be it?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's only, it's the end of May that we're talking about here, but people will remember that. And then you got to overcome that and defeat Skubal anyway. All right, the next guy is 7-0 with a 1.29 ERA, 67 strikeouts, 8.6 Ks per 9, a 3.05 ERA plus.
This is Max.
That's Max Fried.
Yep.
Yeah.
Going tonight, I agree with the Yankees being favored.
Plus 450, Paulie.
Yeah.
Would you rather have him or Crochet?
Well, I'd rather have Max. Yeah.
Okay.
It's New York and best, what their record's at. Can he beat the Dodgers? And, Red Sox will be out of sight, out of mind.
He's got, so that's at least.
Keep losing games.
I got to say that we've had 3 awesome candidates so far. DeGrom also very good, but I have questions. Okay, do we have one more here? I think we have one more guy. All right, 4-3 with a 1.56, 73 Ks, 0.808 whip, 9.5 Ks per 9. That has to be Skubal, but again, it looks like a righty, does it not?
That's Eovaldi.
Is it Eovaldi? Yeah.
Wow.
12-1.
Yep, and he is tied with Fried, ESPN.com. Bubic, Fried, Eovaldi, Skubal with their rankings.
The 1.56 ERA, huh? And again, 12-1. He said he felt great. It was only like a temporary thing why he had to leave the game the other day after 2 innings. I think he can sustain that for the full year, by the way, if he stays healthy.
Yeah.
I think that guy's that good.
Sure. Good job, guys. That's fun. Edge Boost, first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums, earn cashback rewards. 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today, edgeboost.bet, code FTM. Deposit $25, Edge Boost will match it. Edgeboost.bet. Don't pay those outrageous fees. You go over your limit, don't wait on that wire. Edgeboost.bet.
So we didn't even give you Skubal because his numbers are awesome. And you're going to, by the way, all those guys have to overcome him. But here's one of the reasons why I bet Bubic. I'll flip it. What if he is unbelievable tomorrow and does the exact opposite of what I just said? He beats Skubal, goes 7 innings, strikes out 8, 2 hits, 1 run. That's it. I got 40-1 at Westgate today, 30-1. That number will vanish tomorrow after the game.
Yep.
So that's the gamble that I'm taking
That's
here
right.
today.
Good job. I have an update, by the way, on the playoff from the Big 12 commissioner.
Okay. Is it good or bad? Oh, your look on your face? Okay. And Real Fugazi coming up as well.